Hi everybody, I'm Larry Rosen. As part of PRISM's 50th anniversary celebration, sit back, relax, and enjoy some of the best of a decade of Big Five halftime reports as seen exclusively here on PRISM. In this edition, a look at three young men who defined eras at their respective institutions. Temple's Mark Macon, LaSalle's Ken Durrett, Drexel's Michael Anderson. We begin with one of the most highly touted imports ever to call Philadelphia his new home. Our visit with Mark Macon comes during his sophomore season. You'll recall as a freshman he was #1 and off limits to the media. So the inner workings of his young mind were largely unknown. Yet, as you'll soon see, Mark Macon, a unique young man, on the floor as well as off, in a piece entitled Into the Light.
Hey, Macon, you gonna cry tonight? Yo, Macon, you gonna cry?
It is pregame. The Macon ritual is underway. Focus on the rim and the task at hand, blocking out all external factors. This is the story of the growth and development of a thoroughbred, of an All-American. And strangely, he's already one of the least understood athletes on the Philadelphia stage. What he is intense, introspective, and mature well beyond his years. Mark Macon is also still a teenager, a college sophomore, going through the changes, the growing pains experienced by all 19-year-olds. Only Macon and his extraordinary talents have placed that process squarely in the public eye. And regardless of external perspective, Mark Macon's strength comes from within.
You got to know what you're doing, and you got to know that also someone else out there is behind you, and he's practicing every day. And when you're not doing something, he or she is doing something. And you got to say, man, I don't want anybody to catch up with me. No one. You know, if I have an edge, I want to keep that edge.
He found that edge in high school in Saginaw, Michigan, regarded as the top prep guard in America, with the ability to both score at will and make those around him dramatically better. The major early influence was his high school coach, Norwaine Reed.
With Mark Macon, you have a youngster that is extremely intelligent, both on the floor as well as in the classroom. You have a youngster that has tremendous basketball ability, unlimited ability. He's tremendously strong. He's quick. He shoots very well. He's unselfish. He plays within the realm of his own possibility. I can't say enough superlatives as far as Mark is concerned, and he's just going to get better.
Macon led Buena Vista High to the Michigan State semifinals in his junior year, but a severely sprained ankle left him on the sidelines for the title game. His teammate Shoun Randolph played a career game, and a shot measured at 57 feet gave Buena Vista a state title.
The best thing was afterwards, you know, he came out and he said, y'all, you know, you played real good, and, you know, it was just a pleasure to see him happy, you know, just, we finally won it, and after, you know, 3 years, we finally won it, and it was beautiful.
Both were all-state selections, with colleges knocking at the door. Coach Reed caused a minor stir, forbidding both Michigan and Michigan State from visiting the gym, opting to personally choose programs for Macon and Randolph to consider. Randolph remembers making that choice first.
We never really wanted to go to the same school because we always wanted to meet each other in the NCAA championships, to play against each other, and, but it didn't work out like that. We just, after looking at a lot of colleges, we just both decided that we liked Coach Chaney, and so, you know, I told him I was going, and he's like, well, that's fine, because I like Coach, and, you know, we can go together, and then it was fine after that.
Macon acknowledges his choice was based on a feeling of being as at home with Coach Chaney as he was with Coach Reed.
You can almost say they're one and the same. You know, my coach and him are different people, but with the same kind of attitude, the same kind of personality, the same kind of drive and motivation to help people become better people and better players, and that's all you can do for a person, you know, if you're going to be coaching them. Make him a better person and a better player.
That ball is stolen by Mark Macon. Carl James
For Mark Macon, that decision paid immediate dividends.
What a thoroughbred, what a PTPer, what a primetime performer, a Rolls Roycer, the best freshman in the land, Mark Shakin' Bacon Macon.
An overpowering early season splash on national television.
That's the coming of the Big O.
A slow, steady rise to the top of the polls. And a run deep into the NCAA tournament. It ended in the Eastern Regional Finals with a 6 for 29 shooting performance against a Duke team that simply said, Mark Macon will not beat us. Chaney was honestly surprised by postseason criticism.
The problem, as I see it, is that people would love to turn to the fact that maybe you shouldn't have depended so much on a freshman. Well, a freshman won 32 games of being successful. Not win 10. He won 32 with us depending on him because of his talent. Not thinking about his age being 18. We got a lot of college students that come to college at the age of 18. I think most of them do. Should we not depend on them being responsible? Mark was a very, very responsible person. I couldn't very well take him out of a game and get to his head because this young man represents our future.
Now it is his second year, and he is clearly the centerpiece, the leader. Preseason practice sessions are closed. Mark Macon is off limits to the media, hence the public. Chaney believes too much attention is being focused on one individual, and Mark Macon understands.
You know, you don't want to just focus your attention on one person because we're a team. And what I get, they get. What they get, I get. And that's how we're gonna take it from now on. So if our red team were playing...
But by the start of the season, Macon is available, and the Owls are struggling. A somewhat hesitant group of reporters approaches.
Losing only frustrates those who want to be frustrated.
At last, a chance for Macon to publicly show that introspection.
You ever lost 3 in a row?
I've lost 7 games in a row and went to the state championship. So losing is really not the thing to be worried about. It's the end product. Because whatever is in the dark, and it's the old saying, and it's the saying before my time, and maybe before your time, whatever is in the dark always comes to the light, and it's the same for lying too. Y'all remember that? You know, when you lie, the truth will set you free. Yeah, it's the same concept.
My major concern was that I wanted to keep him focused at the early portion of our year in terms of practices and this kind of thing. And once we started the season, I've had no problem with it. And I think that the media has been kind enough, both outside and the inside media, in terms of making appointments and this kind of thing to talk with him, and I've had no problem with it. Neither has Mark.
Perhaps only Chaney knew the depth of responsibilities to be placed on Macon this year. A lack of size, depth, and experience meant no true constants other than Macon. His role changes from play to play, from moment to moment. How would he handle it? Chaney saw one special ingredient.
I think one of the things is balance. It's just a complete balanced attitude about how he approaches the game, not with emotion. You will never, ever see him challenge a call from an official, regardless of whether he feels it's good, bad, or indifferent. You'll see him drop the ball and walk away with it, and he'll take that kind of frustration out on the inside. He might be festering a little bit on the inside, but he will never display it. That kind of balance of attitude is the kind of thing that Mark's all about.
And from this balance emerges a special character, a discipline in the gym for everyday growth, merged with long-term personal vision.
I want to be a teacher. I want to become a teacher. And that's the thing I think I'll be doing like 10 years later, even if I be in a pro situation or not. I'm still going to be a teacher because I love to teach kids. I have that kind of patience for kids, and I think I can teach them.
Yet his on-the-floor demeanor reveals so little of his emotional depth. His stoic face, his lack of public availability added to the mystery. It was left for a lifelong friend to add the insight.
He's not arrogant or anything like that. Everything is fine. He includes me. We include each other a lot whenever we talk. You know, it's There's no one's higher than the other one, the other one's higher than the other one. Because everything is equal. We treat each other equal, fair. That's really all that matters, you know.
It is all that truly matters. Do colleges or the public place unreal expectations on the shoulders of tremendously talented teens? In what context can an 18-year-old move from the ghetto to the cover of a national magazine in a matter of months? And can they simply enjoy what are meant to be the best and brightest days of their lives? Remember these issues the next time Mark Macon takes the floor. The mean streets of North Philadelphia produce dozens of college standouts, young men who use the basketball and the books to overcome obstacles and create a better life. No one really defined those struggles better than Michael Anderson, who in 4 glorious years at Drexel University rewrote the record books and put that school on the map. Our special visit with Michael came in his senior season of 1988. This is the night Michael Anderson has been waiting for. The 2 premier players in the East Coast Conference, Anderson and Lehigh forward Daren Queenan, have brought their sizable skills to a sold-out Dragon pit. In the audience, scouts from a number of NBA franchises, skeptical of Anderson's size and his jump shot, but anxious to catch his act. It's a show Mike has been waiting to put on for years. In many ways, this is where it all began. The Kelly Schoolyard, 28th and Columbia. A ball is perpetually bouncing on this asphalt, regardless of weather. These are mean streets, but respect is always given to ball players. And since pre-teen days, Mike Anderson has been just that, a ball player.
Since I've been playing basketball, I've been taking it to the hole. And when I used to play with the older guys, I have to feed them in order to play. So I had to penetrate and dish it off, and just got stuck doing it.
Noble, there's a steal by Michael Anderson. Here goes the little guy. 2 men.
He's done it at the Schoolyard. He did it and caught the eyes of the nation against eventual champion Louisville in the '86 NCAA tournament. It was just a first glimpse at this unassuming, pure point guard on the national scale. It was a dignified loss. More opportunities would follow. The grand stage is set. Anderson says he must put the scouts, the glare of the spotlight, out of his mind. Just play his game. But in the first half, Anderson is off, pressing, out of sync. The scouts are now buzzing about Queenan, a powerful, explosive leaper who late in the half joins a select group of collegiate scorers to top 2,500 points. The scout from Milwaukee seems especially impressed. The Dragons are down, nearly buried. It will take something special in half number 2.
Mike, this would all begin, Mike. So you start taking them at Mike.
It takes something special, though, to stand out, to flourish in North Philadelphia. In Mike's words, he wasn't always the best player at the Schoolyard, just the best that went to school. And in school, the questions lingered. Is he big enough? Can he shoot? Can he handle the rigors of academic life? Only one area college went all the way with Michael.
I got letters, but no offers from no real big schools. And Drexel came to all my games my junior and senior year. And they were the only school that really showed a lot of interest, so I chose Drexel.
He stayed at home in Philadelphia, where his family could share the pride and success.
Yeah, well, that's what everybody would answer, academics.
First.
Yeah, that's right. First.
He'll be the first in the family to get a college degree, and he knows he's carrying the torch. But more than for the family, Mike feels a sense of community. This is the rec center at 27th and Master, another legendary North Philadelphia playground. The dreams are still unbridled, and Anderson constantly reminds that basketball is only a part of the package.
You know, I'm trying to set an example for everybody, all the little kids growing up especially, to show that you can get out of here, by staying in the books and by playing basketball. Basketball is not the only option. That's what I try to tell them, because a lot of them just see me as a basketball player and not as a college student. Right. I, try to tell them that, you can also learn a lot, and do it with education.
But now it is basketball first. In the second half against Lehigh, Anderson is simply magical. He displays the full repertoire. Penetrate and create. the quick hands and finish. And even the ability to drill from distance. It ends as a 31-point second half. 35 for the night, just shy of a triple-double. Drexel comes away a winner. He has done his part. His stock is rising. Despite the lack of exposure, the next level is calling. He's one of 32 players invited to strut his stuff at the postseason Orlando camp for NBA executives.
As of today's ratings, he's rated second amongst the senior point guards. So, you know, the postseason in Portsmouth and Orlando, where the better college seniors will be getting together and competing against one another, will have a bearing on how people feel. But, you know, in doing a mock draft, and it's very early to do that because we don't know what underclassmen are coming. Yesterday, I had him in the late first, early second, with a chance to improve his stock. So his chances to make an NBA team, I think, are excellent.
He's got great quickness, good spin moves, strong little player, very good little passer. The only thing that worries me is his outside shot. And he has a funny-looking release and a funny spin on the ball. And at his size, he is going to have to play and be able to hit from outside.
But one group has made their opinion clear. Would-be agents have been lining up for months, courting the favor of head coach Eddie Burke. It's a new experience for Burke, but he says former St. Joe coach Jack McKinney provided some answers. But Burke is sure of one thing: Anderson is a pro.
I just think Michael is going to be a great pro. I really believe this. And first of all, he rises to the occasion. The higher level of competition, the better Michael plays. We played Louisville in the NCAA tournament. They ended up having to go to a box-and-one on him. I mean, they couldn't guard him. I just know the guys in the pros are going to love him. You know, a lot of people say, well, you can't go to the basket and throw that stuff up against the big guys. You know, well, first of all, I think, yes, he can. And the second thing is, if Michael gets in a troubled situation, he's going to get the ball to somebody who's in a comfortable position, who's going to get a layup out of it or an 8-foot jump shot.
And how does Michael Anderson scout Michael Anderson?
I would label myself probably as a complete player, you know, try to rebound, assist, score, and I would add that I can shoot the jump shot now. I would add that now, and I would say I like to have a little flair to my game, you know, try to excite the crowd, you know, get everybody into the game.
That's the kind of kid he is. He works on his basketball game, and he's a nice guy, and he's an intelligent young man. So, I mean, that's all positive things for the pros. I mean, you know, you hear about all these guys in the pros, things aren't going right. If the pros can get a guy who's a solid citizen, a fine young man, bright, and who's a worker, I mean, they have a gold mine there.
But for now, the gold mine that is Michael Anderson still wears the blue and gold of Drexel. As this chapter closes, it's with the knowledge that Michael Anderson has already made. On this most historic floor, many a Hall of Fame career was launched, but for Ken Durrett, a Hall of Fame career may have been grounded. At 6'9" tall, Ken Durrett was a pure thoroughbred and took LaSalle to a new national level back in the late 60s and early 70s. In fact, ranked second in the country. But on this floor, he blew out his knee one night against Canisius, and that Hall of Fame career never really got off the ground. 20 years later, we found Ken Durrett coaching high school in his native Pittsburgh. And as excited as we were to relive the memories with Ken Durrett, I think you'll find Kenny enjoyed it just about as much.
Nice seeing you. Nice being here. I'm glad somebody remembered me.
Of course we still remember Ken Durrett. Durrett, number 33, the dynamic forward who defined a proud era. Durrett, who took his position to a new level, as complete a player as his generation produced. Durrett, whose knee betrayed him, destroying a pro career that never really began. Durrett, 42 years old, after years of bitterness, is now ready to look back. And what a vision he will see.
I feel well. I'm doing good, and you know, I've had some experiences. I'm happy, and I'm happy to be able to be here to talk about this 20 years later.
The Durrett saga actually begins 25 years ago at Schenley High School in the Pittsburgh neighborhood of Shadyside. Growing up on the Hill, Durrett had vowed with his friends to bring a state title to Pittsburgh. The magic moment still on display when Durrett led Shenley over Chester High School at the Pittsburgh Civic Arena for the 1966 state championship. At age 18, he was the toast of the Iron City. Ken Durrett, the silky smooth forward, number 54, had led Shenley High School to the state basketball championship in 1966. Now it came time for a major decision in his life, where to attend college, the next stage of his career. Ken knew at the time it would take him out of Pittsburgh. He was truly a national recruit, visiting USC, New Mexico, Calvin Murphy and Niagara, and his early favorite, Villanova.
And then LaSalle called, like, a guy, Larry Cannon, to play, Bernard Williams. I had met them. They came to Pittsburgh to play in the Dapper Dan, the first Dapper Dan in 1965. I had met them, and we had talked, and, you know, when they called me and said, hey, look, LaSalle's going to have a great team. We need you. And I looked at it, and I said, hey, when I'm a sophomore and they're a senior, we're going to have, you know, we're going to have a dynamite team. If I can, you know, so I decided to go, especially after Villanova kind of gave me the squash after they got Geezer. They got hired Porter, so they figured they didn't need me. So I said, okay. That's the first thing I asked LaSalle was Jim Harding at the time. I said, y'all play Villanova? He said, yeah. I said, I signed.
Durrett had a prolific freshman year, and in late '68, as a sophomore, he was ready to join a senior-studded lineup for a run toward the top of the polls. But it was a time of transition at LaSalle. An NCAA investigation was on. Coach Jim Harding left to be replaced by the legendary Tom Gola.
LaSalle knew that they were going to get hit with something, and we hadn't played our first game yet when the sentence was handed down. That was 2 years probation. So the fellows who were on that team, there was no way that they were going to go to the NCAA. And it was a tough, you know, thing to get hit with, but we had to live with it.
So there would be no national tournament. The regular season took on added significance. LaSalle built a nearly perfect record, leading toward the only title it could win in the Big Five. The obstacle, Howard Porter and the Villanova Wildcats.
We used to have these flaps on our warm-ups, and we were all out trying to get really for the dunking in the warm-up and doing our thing, right? And I come down, I roar through, and I swing the ball up to throw this dunk down backwards. And my flap jumps up between the basket and rim, and I throw it and throws me straight to the floor. I was so hurt. Everybody's asking me, I was hurt so bad, I said, leave me alone. I was so embarrassed and I was hurt.
Well, stand by, America. In control, LaSalle.
The game was not artistic, the proverbial typical Big Five game. LaSalle senior class, featuring future pros Larry Cannon, Roland Fatty Taylor, and Bernie Williams, did not have to remind Kenny of the significance of this one. He would be matched with the other super soph, Howard Porter, in what became a classic confrontation.
Well, Howard Porter and Kenny Durrett one-on-one, and that's what happened. Durrett 61-55-15 for Kenny Durrett. A great basketball player is Ken Durrett. He's going to get even better. He plays with both hands. He can shoot with either hand. They work to Porter from the line.
It was a play at the end of almost at the end of the game where I got a ball on the baseline, and Johnny Jones fouled me. He fouled me, and they swear I dunked the ball. You know, it was one of them kind of things. It was just that close. I had to kind of turn it down, but it really wasn't a thundering dunk because we couldn't dunk. But it was the kind of thing when he grabbed my arm came down, so it had to go. So George Raveling and all that, everybody, every time I see George now, he tells me, "You still dunked that ball."
LaSalle played flawlessly in the closing minutes, claiming the only championship within their grasp. 23 wins, just one loss. Ranked second in the national polls, a bittersweet season that ended several nights later at Westchester.
Those guys really, you know, wanted to prove something. And I think they did with the record that they had. And I think that we could have beaten UCLA in the finals if we had played them.
Durrett's junior year was not as successful, though he teamed with senior guard, now Penn head coach Fran Dunphy, to forge a winning record.
We played in 2 tournaments. One was at the University of Tennessee, the other was the Quaker City tournament. He was MVP in neither, probably should have been MVP in both. Ironically enough, I was the MVP in the Quaker City, and I had a nice tournament, played well, but I didn't deserve to be the MVP. I thought that was all. We won the tournament because of him, not because of me.
In his senior season, Durrett climbed to new heights, averaging over 27 points a game, put a 45-foot hurting on Jim McDaniels and a powerful Western Kentucky squad. He won his third straight Big 5 MVP award. He was truly everyone's All-American. But unbeknownst to anyone, a single flawed step late in that season would change his life. It came against Canisius in what would be a 40-point victory.
We had a guy on our team named George Gareda, and only time George got in the game when he was coming in for me. And I think I must have had 20 points in the first half or something. So I seen George going on the scorer's table. So I snatched his last rebound, and I decided to take off with it. I took off. So going down, Jimmy Crawford was cutting, and I was going to pass it to him, but a guy cut in, so I decided to keep it. And when I decided to keep it, the guy cut off in front of me. I tried to go behind him, and all I remember from that point is pain. You know, I just remember pain. And I always think, maybe I should have passed that ball.
Durrett would eventually return and play that evening on one leg. He would limp through the rest of his college career, unaware that he had suffered a torn anterior cruciate ligament, an injury that today still requires lengthy rehabilitation, but 20 years ago was nearly undetectable. He was declared medically fit and ready to turn professional. These were the days of the bidding wars between the NBA and the old ABA.
I was elected city controller in '70, so I had to resign my position at LaSalle. And when I left, I had said to Kenny in his senior year, I said, don't sign anything with anybody. I says, call me first, all right, because there were so-called agents out there who were signing these kids up to agent contracts. And Kenny called me 11 o'clock at night and told me there was a guy, a friend of his in Pittsburgh, and a lawyer who had a contract for him to sign with the Pittsburgh team. And I shot over there, and we put that to rest, and we chased the guy, and Kenny finished playing his senior year. But if you remember Howard Porter at Villanova, he signed with an agent, and that's what they were doing in those days. And you know, you can't blame the kids because they were giving them upfront money, and these were kids who never had anything in their life. But Kenny fortunately called me, and we chased the guy, and he went on, and I helped him negotiate his contract, and he, you know, except for the injury, probably would have had a great career.
Durrett was selected 4th overall in the '71 draft by the Kansas City Kings. He slipped in preseason, further aggravating the injured leg, eventually facing surgery, which did little to relieve his suffering and nothing to cure his problem. Kenny would play parts of 3 seasons with the Kings before eventually ending his career as a Philadelphia 76er.
For a while, I was a little bitter. You know, I was a little bitter because, you know, I worked hard to get where I had to be, you know, and it took me a while to get back. And then I realized, I said, I'm not bitter at the game. I'm just bitter at some of the things that go around the game. It's not about that. It's about, you know, because I wouldn't go to a basketball game for a while. I didn't even want to watch a basketball game, you know, because it was that kind of thing. But then you get back into it, and, you know, you start, you know, it's my first love, you know. Basketball did a lot for me, more than anything, probably has put me in places I would have never been if it don't be for the chance of playing basketball.
And once he could not play basketball, Ken returned to LaSalle, served as an assistant coach, and earned his degree. He's owned businesses, done some high school coaching, and is raising his family. And now, with the blessing of time, there is remarkable clarity to these cherished memories. Ken Durrett, thoroughbred, is at peace with his legacy.
You know, I would have loved to go on and been what I felt that I wanted to do. And I had some goals that I wanted to prove in professionally, and I thought that I had worked to be as good as anybody that ever played. You know, it didn't happen that way, but, you know, I'm happy with myself, and I got a chance to be able to do some things. There's a lot of guys that didn't get a chance to go as far as I did. And, you know, and I got to be happy. You know, life goes on. Regardless of Kenny Durrett's playing basketball, no, life goes on. So, you know, I just got to be happy and enjoy it. Now, I'm happy because I get a chance to do things like this. You know, you get a chance to do things. You meet people, and people remember some things you did. And, you know, I'm just glad that I'm going to be a part of some of the history that goes on in the Philadelphia area.
3 of the most compelling athletes ever to grace the Philadelphia stage. We hope you've enjoyed our look back at recent history. I'm Larry Rosen.